Top Boxing News.
Again, tough fight. You know, you have an amazing fighter like Katie. Cameron is definitely showing her grit, her age. She's younger. She's hungry just as much, you know, so she understands what it looks like to be at that top level, and I'm looking forward to that fight.
There's current undisputed super featherweight champion Alicia Baumgartner weighing in on the upcoming super fight between Chantel Cameron and Katie Taylor. Undisputed champion versus undisputed champion. A testament to the old saying, when one door closes, one door opens. Was supposed to be Amandia Serrano that Katie Taylor would be facing in May.
Was.
And became injured, and just like that, Chantel Cameron stepped in. A lot of unfinished business between these two. On previous occasions I'd spoken to Chantel, she felt that she'd never get the fight.
Yeah, she said that to me right here on this channel on more than one occasion.
Controversy notwithstanding, Ellie Scottney and Shernika Johnson being removed from the show.
The focus now turns to the show itself, the fight.
To hit Katie, that's when Katie comes alive. And Chantel is someone, you know, I've trained alongside for a lot of my boxing career on GB. She helped me out in Terry Harper camp and in other camps, the Katie camp and everything. So I believe it's a dangerous fight for Katie. I think, you know, her engine, her recovery, the output I think we've seen against McCaskill something that we haven't really seen before in Chantel, in the sense of how she can actually box. You know, we were used to seeing her, you know, slug it out and body shots and punches and bunches. We're used to all that. But for the first time, we've seen, you know, Chantel move her feet. We've seen her box smart. And I think, you know, that's something that she's added to her game. And I think it was really effective against McCaskill.
What Katie Taylor's going to have in front of her in late May, her big homecoming fight, her first fight in Ireland as a professional, is a bigger, younger fighter than herself.
Younger by approximately 4 years.
Katie's 36, whereas Chantel is 32.
Chantel is registered as standing in at about 5'8", whereas Katie's 5'5".
Chantel, like Katie, used to campaign as a lightweight, but she moved up in weight some years ago, and it's safe to say that here today, she is a full-fledged super lightweight, a full-fledged 140-pound fighter, whereas Katie's only ever fought above lightweight once, just once.
Was the Christina Lenardatu fight for the WBO title years ago.
Years later, Katie Taylor sports a professional record of 22 wins with no losses, no draws.
6 knockouts.
To Chantel Cameron's unblemished record of 17 wins with no losses and no draws, 8 knockouts.
As the fight date approaches, a lot of people have been asking me about this fight and what I think is going to happen.
The answer to it is no foregone conclusion. In Chantel Cameron, what Katie's gonna have in front of her is a bigger, younger fighter with a mean streak, a mean-spirited puncher who perhaps is an even bigger puncher than Katie is. Katie's known for speed and elusiveness, agility, mobility, but not power.
She's not a big puncher.
Chantel is. Bigger at least, than Katie Taylor. Durable as well. You have to consider that Chantel's been in there with the hard-punching Mary McGee, the hard-punching Jessica McCaskill.
It's a common opponent between them.
One of 4. Vivian Obanoff, Victoria Bustos,
Ana E. Esther Sanchez.
More recently, Jessica McCaskill. You could argue that Chantel Cameron didn't struggle, didn't labor with Jessica the same way that Katie did years ago, but at the same time, Katie didn't labor with Ana E. Esther Sanchez the same way that Chantel did years ago.
It's a good argument on either side of this thing, but what stands out is that Katie Taylor is older and smaller than Chantel.
She's been in a lot of wars. You often hear it said in reference to this fight that Chantel Cameron is a dangerous fight for Katie Taylor. Here's why.
She shows a bit more variety in her punches, more variety in her combinations.
It's on top of being a bigger puncher and a bigger woman than Katie Taylor. Chantel Cameron's combinations are a bit more fluid than Katie's, not as monotonous. Katie Taylor's combinations at times can become repetitive, so while Katie might still have speed and agility on Chantel
and experience,
I'd wager that Chantel can put a dent in Katie before Katie can put a dent in Chantel.
And that's the skinny.
Big part of it. Chantel often mixes in body shots with her punches, body shots in her combinations. Katie Taylor's legs being one of her strengths, her mobility, her in and out game.
Chantel goes to the body, she can take those legs away.
Katie Taylor's legs have often been a get out of jail free card, bailing her out from precarious situations against heavy-handed punches. If Chantel makes a concentrated effort to go to Katie's body, take the air out of the tires.
Yeah.
Katie Taylor's got a bad habit of selling out when she doesn't need to, when she can easily cruise to a points decision using her boxing, staying out of trouble. She's got a bad habit of getting into exchanges.
The same thing that makes her such a fun and exciting fighter to watch is the same thing that could be a hindrance in this fight. Do you really want to trade punches with Chantel Cameron?
She does. She'd be essentially affording Chantel the opportunity to get off those punches, get off those shots to her midsection in order to take her legs away. Katie Taylor's got a live one in front of her.
Chantel, she might have garnered a lot of criticism this past week over that whole Ellie Scottney, Shane McGuigan situation.
So attention now turning to the fight itself, the main event between her and Katie Taylor. It really is an excellent fight and a very big opportunity for Chantel Cameron.
It could be a big banana skin for Katie.
That's the truth. That's reality. No matter how angry Chantel might have made a lot of people last week with that whole Ellie Scottney situation, she is a live one in this fight.
She's a threat.
In men's heavyweight news, a story that's got a lot of people talking, had a lot of people talking this past weekend. Anthony Joshua took to his Instagram stories and posted a caption that reads, "The next fight is scheduled for December. Not ideal, but everything is part of a bigger picture."
This has given rise to speculation that perhaps Anthony has suffered some sort of an injury that does not allow for a July return.
Or perhaps that Anthony is working on another mega fight, another big fight that will sideline him for the foreseeable future, unable to return until the tail end of the year. Irrespective of why Anthony may not come back in the summer months.
And maybe they'll provide some clarification later on today or later on this week. Maybe they will.
Still, if this guy don't use the time that he got to be a busier fighter than he has been the last 3 years or so, the last 3 years where he's only fought once a year for the last 3 years, if he don't get to utilize this time,
if he doesn't get to get back out there in a jiffy with Derek James in his corner.
Continue to break him in as a trainer in order to develop a more organic relationship between fighter and trainer. If he don't get to do this, irrespective of why, it really doesn't bode well for Anthony, and I'm not going to beat around the bush.
I'd like to think that I've been a lot more fair with Anthony, more understanding, more even-tempered than many of the critics and the boo-birds, the knee-jerk reactions he gets whenever he gets out there.
I'd like to think that my analysis was somewhat more objective and fair than the analysis of some others. But looking at this,
if he don't get to fight in the summer months, if he don't get to be a more active fighter this year,
irrespective of why, illness or injury or maybe some big plan to have some big mega fight in December, if this guy don't get to be a more active fighter this year,
well, then he won't be a sharper fighter this year.
Many critiques and criticisms about how he performed opposite the ring Jermaine Franklin. The same cookie-cutter comments about Anthony losing all his killer instincts, losing his dog, fighting scared.
So a lot of that.
I've maintained that the solution is activity. An active fighter is a sharp fighter.
Sharper fighter.
Iron sharpens iron. You want to sharpen this guy up, you've got to return to the forge. But if there are going to be these lengthy gaps in between every single one of Anthony Joshua's fights, then he's never going to go back to being the explosive puncher that he was.
He's not.
Responding to the news, Eddie Hearn cryptically said, all in good time, before later tweeting that nothing was decided yet.
This fucking guy doesn't need to keep worrying about mega fights and big fights. Not right now. Not at this point in the juncture. He just needs to focus on activity.
If this most recent delay is due to an effort to come back to a big fight, a very big fight in December, I can only interpret that, sacrificing that amount of time in between fights, as Anthony cashing out.
Yeah.
You're talking about a Fury fight. You're talking about a Wilder fight. You want to go into fights like that looking how you looked against Jermaine Franklin.
Is that what you're talking about?
All right.
You're cashing out then. It's settled. If that's what the news turns out to be, that he's got a big fight with either one of those two guys lined up for December, and they're going to use the time to prepare for that. If that's what this is...
If that is what the news turns out to be, I would categorize that as Anthony Joshua cashing out when he so obviously has things that he needs to work on before another big fight, another mega fight.
That's how it would look.
We'll see what shakes out. All the while, former WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder's trainer is making bold promises ahead of what's supposed to be some very big news. Is the big news that he's going to be fighting Anthony Joshua towards the tail end of this year? Is that what all the...
Is that why everybody's so tight-lipped about what Anthony's doing, what Deontay's doing?
After Deontay Wilder's last fight, all the post-fight talk was about a clash with Andy Ruiz Jr., the fight having been ordered by the WBC as a final eliminator for a shot at Fury's belt. What seemed like a formality dragged on and has now gone completely quiet. Wilder has been linked to all the biggest names in the division, including Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, a potential fourth fight with Fury, and even a 2-fight deal with ex-UFC champion Francis Ngannou. Recently speaking to Boxing King Media, Malik Scotch, who trains Deontay Wilder, wouldn't be drawn into mentioning any specific names, but said it's a very big announcement soon. We are about to head into pre-camp. The opponent that we're looking at can't be named right now. We just have a very, very big situation coming up, and we're going to be well prepared for it.
You know, it was Big John Fury, the father of Tyson Fury, that stated that behind the scenes, behind closed doors, Deontay Wilder and Alexander Usyk are planning a fight between them.
Talked about that here on the channel a little over a week ago, that they plan on paying Daniel Dubois, Alexander Usyk's mandatory challenger by way of the WBA. They plan on paying him to step aside to clear the way for a fight between them.
That's Big John Fury's theory.
You will notice what Malik Scotch said to Boxing King Media. He said, what I will tell you, what I will promise you, is that Deontay is going to be a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. And when you think about it, there's only 2 guys he can fight to become a world champion again. Fury and Usyk.
He wants to get the shit beat out of him by Fury again?
Or is Big John Fury's conspiracy theory about to be proven true? Is Wilder going into a fight with Usyk?
Well, let's put it this way. If he's fighting Fury again, or he's fighting Usyk, he's not fighting AJ.
Doesn't look like he's fighting Andy Ruiz either. Andy Ruiz, who he was so ordered to fight for WBC interim status, but let's be honest, Deontay Wilder don't need to be Fury's mandatory challenger to get a fight with him, if that's what he really wants.
That's just a formality.
Plans sworn to secrecy when it comes to Anthony Joshua, plans sworn to secrecy when it comes to Deontay Wilder, and all the while we are still deprived of the undisputed title fight between the 2 remaining champions at this weight. In truth,
Anthony scheduling a fight for the summer months would have been more welcome news, much more welcome news than news of a mega fight in December.
I'm not too pressed about what Deontay Wilder's doing, because Deontay Wilder's pushing 40. That guy's got 1 foot halfway out the door anyway.
But AJ's a younger fighter. He's got time. And if he sits out from now until December, he's just pissing the time away.
As this pertains to Anthony Joshua and any potential links between them,
That if you are gearing up to fight a Deontay Wilder in December, if that's a part of the overall strategy, the itinerary, it would behoove you to get another fight in before that.
that's assuming that's what Anthony plans on doing. In truth, none of us know here and now, not until more information is made available, what the strategy here is. What's the plan?
Alright, so look, I know I've been in MIA. A lot of people been asking about me and stuff like that. Unfortunately, a lot of boxing politics been getting in my way. Of course, you know me, what I want to do. I want to stay active. I want to fight. But the big news is I got good news for y'all. I'm a free agent right now. So I'm gonna be taking a lot of things into my own hands. And so yeah, bro, real good news. I'm a free agent, so I feel like now I'm gonna really get all the big fights, the fights everybody wants to see, the big fights, the big names fights, the big name, the big money, all the belts. You know, that's my goal, to clean up the division. So now I'm a free agent. So shit about to get popping for real. A lot of shit about to jump off. A lot of shit about to get popping. Free agent, baby.
Regis Prograis posted that video message to his social media last week, and it got a lot of attention. Most making their own suggestions as to where Regis should go and what Regis should do now that he's a free agent. Regis, who was tied to fledgling promotional and managerial outfit Probellum that has since gone under. It's defunct.
I mean, nothing says defunct. Nothing spells it out for you better than Richard Schaefer, who was the president of Probellum. Nothing says defunct like Richard Schaefer himself jumping ship.
They're kaput. They're finished, as are any ties between the fledgling promotional outfit and Regis Prograis, who thought it prudent to make that announcement that he's a free agent, free to go anywhere to do what he wants to do.
There were talks of a potential Prograis versus Catterall fight that was supposed to be bankrolled by Sky Sports and Boxer, but we know that there's been a change in plans, and Jack Catterall, he's jumped ship in his own way. He's crossed over from Boxer over to Matchroom before he even got to make his Boxer debut.
Now he's supposed to be making his long-awaited ring return opposite the ring Foley on the undercard of Wood versus Lara 2. Beyond that fight, if he wins, a Regis Prograis fight can be rescheduled. They can go back into those talks, and they can do that fight. My honest opinion.
There's some decent fights for Regis at the PBC. There were some decent fights, some good fights for Regis at Top Rank.
I think the fight that people want to see Regis in the most is a Subriel Matias fight, a unification match between the two hardest punchers, the two most dangerous fighters and most dangerous champions in this division. I think if you checked on somebody's wish list as to what they want to see Regis do next, that would be at the top of the list. But my question is, what is the PBC and what are the Subriel Matias people actually doing to get Regis in the ring? Because Regis is a network and promotional free agent.
He can't bankroll the fight. He ain't got no people behind him right now to bankroll the fight. Subriel Matias, he does. He fights on Showtime.
For all his call-outs, what actual offers, what actual money has Subriel Matias put up to get Regis Prograis in the ring with him on the Showtime platform? You know the answer. We all do.
None.
Without money being put on the table for Regis to go over there and have that fight, how the hell is it supposed to happen? You want my honest opinion as to where Regis Prograis should go. He should go to either Top Rank or Matchroom.
At Top Rank, you have the winner, the potential winner of Lopez versus Taylor. You have Arnold Barboza and Jose Ramirez. Couple of fights, good ones over there.
At Matchroom, you have a host of potential matchups for Regis Prograis. You have Australia's own Stevie Sparks, unbeaten Liam Bottle,
Unbeaten Richardson Hitchens from America, Montana Love.
and you have Jack Cataract. You have Jack Casserole, the unofficial winner of what was the Josh Taylor fight. Most people that saw that fight thought that Jack won. Regis Prograis can send this division a statement, a big one, if he fights that guy, beats that guy, and stops him.
He can.
And it just so happens that Regis Prograis himself was in attendance this past weekend in San Antonio for the Bam Rodriguez fight on DAZN.
A Matchroom show. Could it be that he was there because they're courting him? They're thinking about signing him, and he's thinking about signing to them.
They've got fights. They can keep him busy. They can definitely keep him busy.
You say that you'd prefer that he go to PBC so he fights Subriel Matias, but the question is, what is the PBC offering Regis? What's Top Rank offering him?
Have they even made a play to bring him over to their side of things? On the Top Rank side of things, yeah, you got Teofimo Lopez.
And Jose Ramirez and Arnold Barboza, but what guarantees, what assurances do we have that if he goes over there, they'll fight him?
Whereas at Matchroom, Regis could be the centerpiece, the brass ring, for all of their 140-pound fighters because they've got a few and they need a title to fight for.
He's got one.
It's going to be interesting to see where he goes.
Top Rank, Matchroom, we'll find out.